Welcome, welcome, Beyond Disclosure podcast, episode 8.
We're back. We made it back. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, we've had a couple of weeks or so off. We did our podcast in January, and then we did a short video, and then we've had some things going on over the last couple of weeks that have thrown us off a little bit, but we're back.
Yeah, life gets in the way, but we're back and we're here.
Yeah. So, it's been an interesting month again. I mean, it's always interesting at the moment with UFO disclosure news. Nothing major on the political front, which has been sort of our main sort of speaking points.
A lot recently. And look, I wonder how this is going to go into the election cycle. All of us here are hoping we can it'll try and be at least some kind of issue on the election trail. But, likely it's not going to be big if it's going to be anything. We've already seen some of the, responses.
Yeah.
Haven't been great with we talked about the debates, and something got asked, and I can't remember the specifics of it, but yeah,
we sort of laughed away in one of the debates earlier. But I recently did stumble across, because I've been following RFK a little bit. I don't know if you have, but he did an interview on The Hill. And they asked him directly about UFO disclosure, and he said he would disclose everything.
He's a lot for transparency. Whatever you think of his stance on certain issues, he's definitely for transparency of government. So
look, I think he's a great candidate. Hopefully he does well.
And I mean, that's the other thing. You don't hear very many other candidates even talk about transparency of anything. I mean, it's all attacking the other side. I think we did mention this. There's the other Republican candidate, Vivek, and I would butcher his name if I was going to say
Ramaswamy.
Yeah, he has mentioned it. I think he's tweeted about it once or twice.
I think there was some. What was the tweet? I can't remember now. Yeah, but it was a basic reply to someone else's tweet, which was why.
Exactly. Or why not? Why should we investigate this? It's like, why not?
Yeah.
It was something to that effect. Yeah, I do remember the one. There are a couple of candidates who might not be mainline candidates, but that are on the radar. But it still definitely has the congressional caucus of people very much interested. And I just watched a video, and I think we'll play that video and talk about it a bit in this episode with Luna and Burchett actually talking about one of the results of the recent skiff was that they had more people show up, and they're sort of getting more people on board. And I think Burlenson's a good example. He wasn't really there in the beginning. These wheels have been turning for 6 to 12 months, and now he's coming out and he's saying stuff, and we're seeing, he might look like a deer in the headlights sometimes, but at least he's saying stuff. At least he's trying to move the ball forward, it would seem. So, move in the right direction.
I'm excited. Like, it's been a bit quiet since the skiff. Like, there was a lot of big news, that sort of bit of hype after the Congress people came out of the skiff, and then nothing's really happened. But there has been a few interviews and talk of the field hearings that are coming up. So it's all very exciting ahead. We're just sort of waiting now.
Also, I think we're in a blowback period as well, because you look at what is sort of dominating. And again, we'll talk about this tonight because it's in the title. The Kirkpatrick rounds, if you want to call them that, interviews, articles, conferences, that kind of thing. He's sort of doing the rounds at the moment as he's leaving the head of Arrow. And we'll have some stuff to talk about with that. But I think I don't know, maybe it's that kind of relationship. Like we had the skiff and we went this way, and now there's got to be the pushback time.
Yeah.
And that's what we're having at the moment.
Yeah. Do you want to watch that video quickly from the interview with Luna and?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should be the second.
Yeah, let's start off. Let's start off by watching that.
And I will just again, and we do this all the time, but a shout out directly to Disclosure Diaries. It was just the easiest link I found for this interview. So thanks to those guys. Right, and go check out that site, and they have I believe they've got a podcast as well. So check that out.
Nice. All right, I'll play this.
Yep.
UAP UFO. Every time we're together or something, and it's out, I always get a million hits on X or Twitter or whatever. You know, what about this? What about this? What do you think the future is, or where are we going?
So I'm going to toot your horn here for a minute. So Representative Burchett has been leading out this effort, and when I got into Congress, you know, it's very hard to find a true believer that believes in it for the right reasons, wants to genuinely, I think, bring the truth out there and expose it to the American people. He's one of them, so don't ever doubt that. So much so that, you know, he's ruffled a few feathers up here and people have kind of put him in their sights. So make sure that you back him, if you know what I mean. But what I will say is that you have been largely the reason why we've been able to have these hearings. So we're actually going to be coordinating your leading it out location for the next field hearing. And I say that because I think it's time, based on our last session that we had with members of oversight, and what we were able to conclude is that, you know, we've brought in credible witnesses. They were telling the truth. And so it's time to move on to the next location.
Good. I would just hope we'd have some disclosure. You know, this is 1947. They've told us they don't exist, but yet we find out they spend tens of millions, maybe billions. I don't know. Pentagon loses a half $1 trillion. And I just think we need some disclosure. What the heck are they and what are they studying? And if they don't exist, then why are they using this money?
Well, and we know that also too, just like based on what we've been able to see evidence-wise. But I mean, talk about for a second the amount of people that have come up to you in office that have told you, but are afraid of saying anything because they don't want to be
multiple. Just last week, I was on before our double secret hearing. I was in the gym that morning, and I get a phone call from a member, and they said, "Hey, are you watching what's on television right now?" And it was another sighting somewhere. And I said, I'd seen it a while back. I don't get too jacked up on that anymore. He goes, then he went into explaining how when he was a young man in the military that he'd had a sighting, and he was very specific.
Yeah. And
talked about the officer that was in charge of the boat and said, this is what was going on, and they discussed it, and they, were basically, I guess, told not to discuss it anymore. And then he was in the hearing with us. I thought that was pretty cool. So we've, but it's just every day, it just seems another member of Congress. And so, let's just find out what they're spending the money on.
Find out what they're spending the money on, but also too, I mean, you saw recently there was that footage of, the jellyfish UAP, and you see that and you just realize, okay, not only does that look creepy, but what is it? And so I think that these are important questions that we need to continue to ask.
This is over a military base.
Over a military base, and the individual that recorded it was looking at it through night vision goggles, but then wasn't able to see it unless he turned on his thermal FLIR. Yeah, FLIR. So, I mean, it's been interesting, but I will continue to support you on that effort, and I'm excited because as you're seeing, the more that we're doing these interviews, our group has expanded. So we had 16 members in there last time, so it's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's a good start.
They try to say we were crazy.
I like that ending.
Yeah.
But no, the point we were just making, it looks like the Congress is growing, the caucus is growing. So that's good.
Yeah. And interesting they mentioned the jellyfish video, because I hadn't heard any Congress comment on that, but they obviously trust that it's legitimate. Which is a good vote of confidence in that leak.
Yep. But also with the field hearings, and I've heard Tim, and I think we played a clip of Tim saying before, they're obviously going to play their cards very close to their chest about field hearings or about witnesses or about whistleblowers, because there's intimidation, there's obfuscation. Classic, you want to go check out X base and, you let everyone know, and then all of a sudden, there's no one there that can tell you anything.
Yeah.
So,
have you, speaking of the jellyfish too, have you seen there's been quite a few videos floating around now of other jellyfish sightings? Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them, and things that you'd call, jellyfish adjacent sort of things. There was one. I think there was one we were talking about. Oh, the metapod. Yeah, I think all these things that are the jellyfish or the metapod, or there's lots of different shapes that are coming up that are sort of vaguely in the same. You could put them in the same category. I don't know. They're getting their turn now. We've had the turn of the saucers and it was the spheres for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe now we're getting the truly anomalous sort of objects. Because I do feel like quite a large part of this is probably part of the controlled disclosure. Like, Corbell, I don't think if they didn't want Corbell to be able to release that video, it wouldn't have got released. I'm talking about jellyfish. And pretty much the same with any of the leaks. It's not as if the CIA couldn't go to YouTube and get shit removed quite easily.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem, and I'm sure it's happened before. So if it's out there, it's likely a part of the controlled disclosure. Or then maybe it's just part of more muddying the waters. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I definitely don't. Yeah. There's probably very few legitimate leaks that stay around for a while.
Yeah.
Because you'll see stuff, like I'm a whistleblower, leaked picture, and then all of a sudden the account's gone, all the information's gone, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of what I'd expect to happen if it was real, because it's like, someone's got this out, boom, we shut this down, we close it down, we memory hole it, no one's going to remember it in 6 months. So, I dare say there's a raft of that kind of stuff, which also would include probably a lot of hoaxes or, role-playing stuff. But if someone was going to leak and they were worried that it was going to leak, then I think it would go down more like that than rather than just play out for 12 to 24 months of speculation.
Yeah. See, the Pentagon made an official statement about the jellyfish UAP. Did you see that?
I did see it. I didn't actually read it. I did see
it. Was I don't think it basically said something, and we take leaks very serious. And they didn't acknowledge
can't confirm or deny that. Sorry.
Yeah, can't confirm or deny, but we take this very serious, that the fact that these things are leaking, it's jeopardizes national security, blah blah blah, something like that. But I think that statement came from Susan Goff.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Who we were going to talk about as well tonight.
We were.
In relation to Kirkpatrick. Should I bring that up now?
Yeah, I think probably bring that up. And look, again, I hate to say it, but I think we feel like we might have been kind of right on this one. A few episodes ago, Corey and I were sort of speculating that Kirkpatrick had kind of been, he's been relieved of the position, I don't know what, for the last 3 months, but we kind of speculated it was quite a bit before that, and he was there in name only, and really sort of had gatekeepers who were doing, the real work of his job, and he was just the front-facing public image. So if we have this interesting little thing from Reddit, and you can click on it to make it bigger.
I'll just zoom in on that. Can you see that?
But yeah, so this was a very interesting little thing. I don't know, Corey, do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it? Or
you read it. I'm recovering still from a sickness, and I'm a bit nasally and flat. So I think you can deliver this better.
So anyway, Anthony Miller, and I looked a little bit into this guy. Kind of hard to find anything, but anyway, so take it for what it is. Anyway, I attended Kirkpatrick's last event as Arrow Director at George Mason University in Arlington, VA last fall. During the reception, he mingled with the crowd, mingled in air quotes. The problem was his mingling included a shadow by Pentagon spokesperson Susan Goff, who never left his side for a full hour. Even if anyone tried to have a one-on-one conversation with the good scientist, it was eerily reminiscent of a Soviet-era minder. He literally paused and looked at her to see if he'd get a nod or a head shake before he answered some questions a friend and I had. The answers he did offer were rife with doublespeak, patronizing dismissal, wordplay, semantics. That is the science being discussed here. What a joke. Thank you for calling this out, Dr. Taylor. And I don't know who Dr. Taylor is in that reference. I just thought it was interesting. And if you look at the picture, scroll up to the picture, Corey, this is on a Reddit thread.
She's shadowing him.
She's absolutely shadowing him. And not only that, she is a high-level DOD person. And look at what she's wearing. She looks like a nobody. She looks like a bum. Like she's trying to blend in. And it's really kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
Because is she there in an official capacity?
Yeah. Well, obviously she is.
Yeah. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Susan Goff before. I've watched interviews with her, and she's normally dressed in uniform or like a business attire. And this is just like, what? And look at how Kirkpatrick's dressed. He is dressed like you would expect. He was the head of Arrow. You know, he's a respectable scientist, blah, blah, blah. That's how he should be dressed. And then you look at her, one of the head people in the DOD. That's weird.
Yeah, here it is. Sorry, I'm reading about it.
Oh, yeah.
Here. I might as well just share this. Stop screen, share again. No, not that button. Share screen. Pentagon, no comment. Here, I'm just reading. Pentagon response to jellyfish UFO. Sue Goff, spokesperson for DOD, said the statement that they do not comment on the authenticity of the alleged DOD material that may have been leaked. Goff emphasized the DOD's commitment to openness and accountability while balancing the necessity to protect sensitive information. And that was the statement there. DOD takes public interest in unidentified anomalous phenomena seriously and is committed to openness and accountability, blah, blah, blah. This commitment. I don't think that's the actual
sources and methods.
Yeah. But it was Susan Goff, that did make that statement about the jellyfish UFO. So she's
been there for a while.
She's acting gatekeeper, She's
but that's the running theory and how it would look, especially from that. And as I said, when I was looking into what the hell was going on with Kirkpatrick as far as actually being the head of Arrow or not, it was definitely apparent that he was kind of there in name only, and that she was doing all the oversight. So, I mean, hey, look, let's just put that down to some beyond disclosure wild speculation, like we like to do. But we have been right a few times.
Yeah. And I think I was watching.
Pause in transmission.
Whoop. Might have had a connection issue. Jeremy Corbell was talking about Sean Kirkpatrick and basically saying he's flat out lying. Everything he's saying is a lie, and soon there will be emails between Kirkpatrick and David Grush that will become public. So those emails alone from between.
Yep. More connection issues. We're getting hacked.
CIA. Kirkpatrick's hacking in now. Goff.
Kirkpatrick.
We said Susan Goff too many times in the.
That's true. The algorithm got us.
And they're onto us. So, but yeah, if those emails do come out between Kirkpatrick and David Grush, then because Kirkpatrick has said numerous times that he's never had
I know.
no interactions with David Grush. He never came to me. He never raised any concerns with me.
Or any of the people that have been talking about, and this is, I think we were also talking about this before. There were the Chris Mellon tweet, and I think I may have just found it.
Did you find that one?
Yeah, I did. Hang on, let me just put that over. And Chris Mellon basically comes out and says that's absolute malarkey.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Because of this, and this. And I can guarantee you Chris Mellon's not going to say that unless he can prove that. And I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to prove.
What's this one say? Do you want to read that one aloud?
Yeah, give me a sec. I was astonished at one of the central claims made by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick in a recent article in Scientific America. This is also, it's not just the interviews. As I said, he's done articles. He's doing the whole rounds at the moment. Blasting UAP conspiracists, specifically his claim that as of the time of my departure, none, let me repeat, none of the conspiracy-minded whistleblowers, in air quotes, in the public eye had elected to come to Arrow and provide their evidence and statement for the record despite numerous invitations.
Oh, yeah. So
apparently he invited them.
He invited them. They never shut up.
Yeah, I'm baffled because in an effort to assist his investigation, I introduced Dr. Kirkpatrick to former director of ATIP program Lou Elizondo, as well as Dr. Eric Davis and Dr. Hal Puthoff. Each of these prominent voices associated with the ATIP program spent hours briefing Dr. Kirkpatrick in classified settings. None have received any feedback. Hopefully, the pending report of Congress on the alleged UAP recovery program will describe the specific claims made by the dozens of other witnesses and what Arrow did to evaluate them. So there's going to either be some massive backlash. No wonder he's getting out, because it seems like he's just being set up to be a scapegoat. So he might as well get his licks in while he can.
Yeah. He's going to crash hard. He's going to crash and burn hard, and I don't think it's too far away. I think this year. Yeah, he'll be hung out to dry, and
because I can't imagine Chris Mellon just would make all this up for no reason.
No, that's right.
And there's a reason for Kirkpatrick to lie.
These guys like Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and alike, they've been fighting this fight for a long time. They're not just going to say shit like this about Kirkpatrick, and it's not what they're about. So,
well, I just think he wouldn't say it's something that would be so easy to prove or disprove. Like it'd just be an email, like a booking, where you could show if you have an office in a government, there's a register of who comes in for meetings and who doesn't come in for meetings. That would be so easy to FOI. It wouldn't be funny. I'm surprised no one's done it yet. I don't know. Maybe there isn't because it was classified. Maybe there's some other thing. But for my mind, it would be absolutely so easy one way or the other to prove whether these people have had meetings with these other people. I can't see why Chris Mellon would risk his credibility just lying blatantly like that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, they wouldn't. So good old Kirkpatrick. He's still out there. Stirring the
sour
pot.
Grapes. That was my thing. I don't know. He just has a bit of a look about him where he's like, meh.
Yeah, and just
maybe, I don't know.
Some of the statements he makes, it's like he really gets butthurt.
Remember when he came out in LinkedIn when this whole thing started, and it was a weird place to come out and put this statement out in LinkedIn.
Yeah. And that was about David Grush, wasn't it?
I was going to say, that was the first real shade thrown at Grush, and it's really been sort of and Grush really hasn't. It's funny because it seems like when Kirkpatrick talks about Grush or the whistleblowers, it almost seems like he doesn't like them. But when the whistleblowers talk about Kirkpatrick, they're just frustrated because it's like, we tried talking to this guy, we tried talking to this organization, and they just don't want to have a bar of us. And it's like, it's not like they're pissed off and they hate them. It's just they're frustrated because they're not listening to them.
I think it was the Schellenberger report that we covered a few podcasts back that had a few comments, statements from whistleblowers about their dealings with Arrow, and said they basically had a culture of disinterest, and they said they would not want to deal with Arrow again. We would not want to go to these people again. They're not the right people to be reporting this stuff to.
Yeah, and like you go back to the that Reddit thing, and he says like the answers he offered us were rife with doublespeak, patronizing dismissals, wordplay, and semantics. That's what people are pissed off about with Kirkpatrick. Like, it's not. I don't know whether you like the look of the guy or whatever. It's actually not about that. It's about how he's come at this situation and come at this topic. It's been patronizing. We don't like to be patronized. I think all of us on this, who have been following this at least since 2017, are pretty sure that there's something there. You can't dismiss it by like, oh, it's little green men. It's friggin', no. There's something
swamp
legitimate
gas.
there.
You've probably seen swamp gas.
Or Venus. It's Venus or little green swamp
gas.
But yeah, so I mean, I understand all our frustration, but I don't understand his venom coming out at people like that, and it does sound like he's butthurt.
Yeah. He really lashes back out. Anyway,
I think the lady does forget too much.
We've given that guy enough attention on tonight's podcast.
Yes.
But what I've also forgot to say is, if anyone's watching, guys that are watching, we can see there's a few people watching. Leave us a comment, ask us a question. We'll talk about your subject, or we'll try and answer your question if we can. But yeah, get involved, leave a comment, and have a chat with us. We enjoy the interaction with anyone that's watching. Yeah. So yeah,
any suggestions or anything you'd like to us to look into the future, that kind of thing as well. Apologies, I am trying to start and continue my series of Who the Hell Is. This episode's taken a little longer. Hopefully the production value will be a little better. But yeah, that will be coming eventually. Not going to set a date on it.
Might be a bit controversial.
It might be a bit controversial too. I'm a little. Anyway,
let's not go down that.
Let's not go down that. It's a story for another time.
Yeah. Another thing that just happened: the Soul Foundation released a short video. It's like a trailer to, I guess, their agenda moving forward. You haven't seen it, have you, Lem?
No, I'm fresh eyes.
All right. Well, I'll play that, I think, and it goes for 6 minutes, but it's a cool little watch, so we can watch it together here and see what you think. You happy with that?
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Soul Foundation's Grush and Gary Nolan and Michio Kaku and a few other high-level guys.
Guys.
Good guys, I think. I think, most of us can agree that I think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. They're all about developing policy, working to work together to develop the correct scientific methods for measuring UAP and what it is and what it means, and trying to help write policy. But yeah, anyway, let's watch the video, because I think the video actually explains a lot of what they're trying to do. So let's play that. Oh, good music.
The Soul Foundation is an institute of research that funds and guides research in sciences, the social sciences, the humanities, and that also produces policy and advisory research that is aimed to illumine and help us clear up what's going on with the UAP issue and also prepare us to deal with the social implications of it.
I come from a tradition in science of taking from multiple different fields of science and thought simultaneously and synthesizing them into something new. You create and you invent. I'm a tinkerer by nature, and so here we are tinkering with the reality of what this might actually mean.
We also are putting together what we call a whole of society approach that engages all institutions and kinds of people so that we can deal with what may promise to be a very world-changing issue in a way that involves everyone.
Here you now have everybody
Harvey Lowe up there
possible to talk about this, and that they're not going to be booed out of the room. Welcome to California. Welcome to Stanford. The objective here is to legitimize and professionalize, and then to seek from you your ideas.
We know from our private life that finding a partner provides a meaning to our existence. The same holds for finding a partner in outer space. Suddenly, the universe will not appear to be lonely.
A lot of individuals who previously thought that they were alone in their thought or their belief system, suddenly finding that they had many other individuals with whom they could speak. And so now the networks are forming, and we hope that this will catalyze an opportunity for others to basically step forward instead of us or along with us.
Not sure I'm aware of any sort of think tank organizations in recent years at the level of Soul. I mean, in terms of the people that they have attracted to the organization, not just the founders, but people associated with it, the people here at this conference. I've been going to conferences for 22 years, and I've never been to one at the level of this one. So I think it's really unique.
Everyone here in the audience has kind of praised it as the best event they've seen on this. And they've told us that everyone who needs to be here is here speaking, and that the audience is composed of just as many important people.
This is why we have the Soul Foundation. We need to basically create a parallel track of research and independent discoveries that aren't necessarily dependent on the U.S. government to provide us all the answers.
Before the space program, people felt that we couldn't even go into space, that human beings were tied to the Earth. Now we have over 500 people have actually flown in orbit, okay? And so it's not something that's unthinkable anymore. It's something people do. Okay? So the stigma has been removed.
Imagine if you could actually use some kind of technique to search for unidentified objects that are non-human. A goal is to search for a specific identifiable signature from an ET probe or non-human object.
It's an absolute perfect moment for Soul to get involved because we need policymakers to be advised on this, right? I mean, they want to do the right thing. There are many members of Congress who want more transparency, but the more information they can get from the brilliant people associated with Soul, the better it is. So I think the moment is perfect.
The fact that they're acknowledging it, whereas before, there's been rumors that NASA didn't want to do anything and other people didn't. But I think there's kind of like a crescendo or something's coming where now we can all get behind it. And I think if we can get this into more mainstream academia, I think it will help with a lot.
The more academics that are writing papers, the broader the base of interest is going to become. And I think that's another really important aspect of what Soul is doing.
What one learns when one gets in this field is that you end up with more collaborators, more supporters, and more offers of help than you would get if you were working on something conventional.
What they're really just trying to do is foster a coalition of the willing to properly identify what's going on. I think there's been other groups that have done this, but not at the scale of which Soul is trying to do this.
The Soul Foundation is something that we've all been dreaming for a long time, and I think it's the appropriate way to call attention to the problem and to gather the energy that we're going to need to go forward.
Anybody who will bring something forward in a manner that is logical and non-hyperbolic, we want to hear from them.
The influence that Soul can have in terms of bringing in the academic community and drawing these people in and creating papers that academics can read, it's going to expand the base of people that become aware of this situation, of the UAP issue, and it might draw in other intelligent people that haven't been exposed to it so far.
When this conversation develops and when the issue develops, we're always there to provide answers, because we were asking the questions that people are today 5-10 years before.
We're on the precipice of feeling that we are both smaller and larger than what we thought we were before. Smaller in that there's a greater sense of intelligences that might be out there, and so therefore we're one of many. But so that can make you feel small, but then bigger by knowing that you're as part of a community.
Cool.
Yeah. Very cool. Very uplifting. The music. The music. No, but yeah, really good message. Really.
And like I said, lots of good people there. Jacques Valley was there. Leslie Keane. Yeah, logical and non-hyper. Caitlin R just commented logical and non-hyperbolic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Jesse
like a lot of the right people are. Yeah, a lot of the right people are there.
And I think to what I got out of it, which I do agree with, is, you know, they start this foundation and this work within places like, was it Stanford University? Yeah. They might attract other very intelligent people that might not have been interested or looking at this before. They might see this now if they're going to Stanford and go, the Soul Foundation, what's that?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden develop an interest in it and attract more. A
part of it, I think, is what we've been talking about the whole time, as well as the destigmatization of it. It's been an important journey along, you know, the last 5 years that we've been trying to do. But as well, you know, it's one of those problems where, you know, to borrow a phrase, you want to get your best and brightest involved.
Yeah.
You know, this is that kind of level of stuff. You know, this isn't marketing or advertising. You want the best people in the world with the most open and honest and earnest character to be involved in this stuff. And I think hopefully that's what we're seeing. You know, I got a lot of respect for Gary Nolan. Dave Grush has seemed to be pretty much on the up and up. You know, Jux has been doing his thing for a long, long time. Mitch Yokaku's involved. Yeah. A couple of those other people I didn't recognize. One of the guys, Scaffish. I guess he's a bit more behind the scenes.
He's an anthropologist, I think. I think he was one of the main co-founders with Gary Nolan.
I'm pretty sure it was him, Grush, and Gary Nolan who were like the main guys.
Yeah, and I think he's a social science guy.
And was it me? Like, were they standing next to each other and he was towering over Gary Nolan? It's like seemed like either Gary Nolan was very short or he was very tall.
I think Gary Nolan's short ass.
Yeah, I think he is. Love you, Gary.
Yeah, we love you, short ass, mate.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Yeah,
close to the ground.
Yeah.
But no, that was cool. And look, there's and they were right. They mentioned, like someone mentioned in there has been a bunch of organizations like this, and there have been. You've got Avi Loeb was there, but he's doing his own thing with the Galileo project and a bunch of other things. And there's been TTSA. There's the and less formal and loosely associated organizations like what's it called, the Invisible College. So there's been quite a few organizations around this. Stephen Greer's movement, I can't remember what he called it, but yeah, there's been quite a few. But this one seems like it's got a lot of intelligent, highly credible people, which is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they are the first step in creating a real foundation for proper research and independent from government. That was another comment in there. We can't wait for the American government to give us all the answers, because they're probably not going to. And I think that's the problem, is we've all sort of looked to governments, in particular the US government, for disclosure. And I think
they're experts at drip feeding us that, I think. Yeah, exactly. And I think, as I was saying, I think, they're experts at drip feeding us that kind of thing, and just keeping you hanging on. And that's what we're getting at the moment, like through the official channels. And I know some people are trying to push it more, but if we have people, in organizations like the Soul Foundation, it's going to take it a step in the right direction a bit quicker, I think.
Well, I guess talking about, we could probably segue into UFO University from here.
Yes, well, and that's one I forgot to mention is Danny Sheehan's got his own organization.
So Danny Sheehan's been doing some good interviews lately, coming out saying a few good things. And there was something that you told me that he's about this UFO University. What did you?
Yeah, so basically, I think it's mainly an online university. It's called Ubiquity University. And I was having I was having a bit of a read through their, about us, who are we? And it was a little sort of vague. And I thought, oh yeah, it's a bit wishy-washy, or it almost sounds a bit hippie. But then they did really hit on something in that they didn't explicitly state it. They just stated the negative, that they're not a materialist university. And this is something Corey and I have talked about quite a bit on the podcast, in that what we think the ontological, or at least I think the ontological shock that is coming could be, is the non-material nature of reality. And so that kind of piqued my interest in that, they're a university not necessarily dedicated to material realism. They probably have more of an idealist or maybe dualist bent to them. But anyway, cut a long story short, they're going to offer a course that's university qualified, so you can earn points to your degree in a bunch of UAP related topics. Danny Sheehan will be taking 2 courses, and the other 2 courses that are being offered will be taught by Richard Dolan. And anyone who's watched the show at all, I generally bang on about Richard Dolan quite a bit. He's one of the premier UFO researchers, as far as I'm concerned, in the field at the moment. He has his basis is in history. He's a historian by trade, and he's going to be teaching the historical aspects of UAP. And I was saying to Corey before we came online, I think I've watched enough Richard Dolan now that I'd probably get credit in his class already, because I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to be going through. But undoubtedly, it would be fascinating. And even if it was just a bit of paper that you could hang on your wall, I mean, it would just be a very fascinating angle of study to do. At least from I don't know. I think Danny Sheehan would be pretty good too. I mean, he's a long-standing lawyer who's been involved in a bunch of stuff, and I think he's a pretty sharp dude, and he's got a pretty decent handle on the situation. So, I mean, that'd be very interesting. But yeah, for the historical aspect, that'd be great.
Yeah. Sign us up, Ubiquity University. Everyone, get on there. Get your ufology degree.
Get your knowledge up. Yeah. Or don't pay them the $200 and stumble about for 20 years like I did. No. Look, who knows? You might be able to research this thing a whole lot better than either Corey and I or this university could possibly do. But it's just an interesting thing that it's becoming a lot more mainstream these days.
Yeah. Another thing Danny Sheehan commented on that I I didn't watch. Sorry, and I can't even reference the actual name of the podcast that he did the interview on. It wasn't one that I was familiar with. But I did see snippets of that interview from other commentators, and one interesting point was Danny Sheehan was asked, you know, when will there be any other whistleblowers coming into the public arena, going public anytime soon? And he outright said all of them. And I think he's referring to basically 40 people or about.
Yeah, and that's I saw I don't know if it was a tweet or an article, but basically, yeah, a very similar thing is like, oh yeah, so what's happening in 2024? Can you give us any numbers of how many people might be coming out? And he was 40. 40, that's it.
They're all coming out. They're all going public.
Yeah, you can expect 40 this year. So even if we got half of that, I mean, even if we got a quarter of that, another 10, another
10.
5, another 5.
Another 5 Grushes, another 10 David Grushes.
Yeah.
How about 40?
Yeah.
How about 40? What are you going to do?
Well, this is
what are you going to do then?
Oh, this is why I wonder why the phrase catastrophic disclosure was being bandied about, 2 or 3 months ago. Because is this what it's going to be? Is it 40 people coming out and from everything I've read, from Danny Sheehan to a lot of other people mentioning these high numbers, dozens, they'll either say dozens. Schellenberger said dozens. Last year, he said, it's dozens. Is it going to be the guys who have, and this is what I've heard or read, I'm sure, on the grapevine, whatever you want to think of it, these are the guys that are first-handers. These are the guys that do have the evidence.
Yep.
There's that, and how you take posts on Reddit, but there was that story, and I'm sure there might be a little bit of backup for it. Probably not much, but some Congress people went into a something very similar to a skiff, and we're all like, nah, it's just all a bunch of hooey, and got shown a video of humans physically interacting with non-human intelligences and being shaken after that, and like completely changing their tune after that. So is that the kind of thing we're going to see this year?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, who knows? But
yeah,
it does look like this year will shape up to be a big one. We've got a book and a documentary from Lou Elizondo coming soon.
Yep.
Another documentary from James Fox.
Yeah, we've got Grush's op-ed coming.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I believe that's still going through the DOPSA process, but and that can, the wheels of bureaucracy turn slowly. That'll be coming out soon, and I actually think it might not be DOPSA. I think he might be holding off because Kirkpatrick is taking all these shots, and he wants a reasonable time to be able to answer them. But also, I'm sure DOPSA is not any kind of streamlined process. So,
yeah. Maybe especially surrounding this subject too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got that coming. We've got, possibly 40 whistleblowers coming. Avi, I think, is going to Antarctica. I just read recently, I think Avi Loeb's going to Antarctica with Project Galileo.
Yep. Antarctica, isn't that a fascinating place?
It is very much a very interesting place. There's some weirdly named islands all around the place.
Is there?
That's all I'll say. Yeah, that's all I'll say on that one.
Well, something popped up to me a week or two ago. I can't remember what it was, but it was about oh God, what's his name? Who's the astronaut that went with?
Oh, Buzz.
Buzz Aldrin. Yeah, says lots of weird shit.
Yeah,
does he?
Yeah. Oh, you mean about the tweet that he deleted?
The tweet that he deleted.
Yeah, that came up.
Which was it's basically because there's the the idea that there's these pyramids in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Massive mountain, pyramid-shaped mountains. and he posted a picture of one and said something. It's sheer evil or something.
Something about pure evil or something. Yeah,
pure evil. It's pure evil,
and then deleted it really quickly. But that you could just write that off as Buzz Aldrin being crazy, Buzz Aldrin, whatever. But why are they taking him down to Antarctica?
Yeah.
I don't think he paid to go down there. I don't think it was I think they requested him down there and they flew him down there. Why are you sending an astronaut to Antarctica?
I think where I seen it was actually the interview with Billy Carson on Sean Ryan, and Billy Carson's right out there with his ideas. And he talked a lot about Antarctica, and that's a really cool interview. If you want to see a cool interview with some,
Sean Ryan's good.
Sean Ryan's good. He's just done a new interview too with McMonagle.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I haven't seen
it. Know about that one. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Popped up now.
Well, that would actually be very cool. I would be very interested to see what McMonagle would have to say. And if for those who don't know, McMonagle is the Inspector General of the intelligence community. And when we keep saying ISIG, that's him.
No. The remote viewer.
The remote viewer. Sorry, I'm thinking of Monheim. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
He was from inside the CIA's Gateway Project Gateway.
Stargate.
Stargate. Sorry, Stargate.
Yeah.
Which was they're remote viewing everything. I think Ingo Swan was involved. We've talked about remote viewing before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah, that might be worth checking.
I'd like to see him. I'd love to see him interview Monheim, but that'd never happen.
Yeah, I don't think.
That's why I was so shocked. I was like, Monheim? No way. Okay,
Monheim probably won't do interviews for a while, but
he'll have to retire first.
He'll probably retire, and then he might do some really interesting interviews or write a book.
Yeah, well, he'd be the guy who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's right in the middle of it now. Monheim, he must be, his head must be spinning sometimes when he goes home to bed. Like, fuck, what a day! I'm just getting told about.
And I don't think
UFOs
he's even
and
finished his. I don't even think he's finished his Grush investigation. Like, I don't think anything official's come out about that's being finished and still going. So that was at least started, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure it was going for 12 months before Grush did the interview. So
yeah, I think so.
Probably getting close to 2 years.
But Antarctica, very interesting place. Massive piece of land. Like how much? I think it's like 3 or 4 times bigger than Australia.
Yeah, and it's massively strategically important. Throughout the Cold War, throughout World War II, exceptionally important.
There's always been lots of weird rumors and stories about it from
Nazi
bases, which does make sense because the Nazis definitely were going to Argentina.
Yeah.
They
were interested in they were interested in a lot of crazy stuff, man. I mean, all the occult stuff that they were checking out. I mean, it sounds like crazy conspiracy theory, but they were genuinely interested in that stuff.
They were, and they were going there. They were going to Argentina, and then they were jumping from Argentina onto Antarctica. Who knows what for? They must have had something down there, but that's never been disclosed, has it? No. Oh, hey, we did find their bases there, and they had a port, and that was never discussed. And then you've got the diary of Admiral Byrd, is it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Admiral Byrd's diary that I think his son went public with after he had died. And that's weird. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't maybe Y-Files do something on that?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
You could probably look that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard a couple of big people talk about that one.
Yeah.
It seems fairly legitimate. I mean, who knows? Maybe he just went crazy out in the snow, but it doesn't seem like that's the kind of guy that he is.
No, well, he either went crazy in the snow or his son made up a a cool story, but the fact that they did go to Antarctica with thousands of people and a huge naval fleet for research, and but the diary entry from Admiral Byrd supposedly was he took a plane over the ice and hit some strange part of Antarctica where there was trees and
like a little oasis in the middle.
A little oasis, and then he was accompanied by other UFOs. They came along and escorted him to a place where I think he said he had a meeting with some alien race, and
what do they call it? Because it wasn't alien; they've been here the whole time. Ultra-terrestrial.
Ultra-terrestrial.
Like
yeah. And ultra-terrestrials, I've actually been looking into ultra-terrestrial theories quite a bit lately too. And some of the interesting theories from Jacques Vallée in some of his earlier books, which I wasn't too familiar with. But there's this real link there between like Irish folklore and fairies and gnomes.
Well, man, we talked about it with our own indigenous culture, you know.
Woodachis.
There's a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not just that. It's every ancient culture has these kind of things in them. I just read one recently where some scientists theorized about a plasma-based life form, and that directly maps onto the idea of the jinn in Islam, and the idea of these non-associated, non-corporeal bodily entities, and how they behave, and you know how they would exist. And it's, if you were going to theorize a plasma-based life form, that would be almost exactly how they would be. So
it's fascinating stuff.
Well, the other one is the ant people, I think, from the Hopi Indians, where they have their flood myth, and the ant people came from underground and led them into safe passages, and the flood happened and then led them back out, and they repopulated, you know, and they started life again. There's lots of ultra-terrestrial seeming things in the myths of, you know, past cultures.
Something interesting something interesting. I just recently rewatched a favorite long-time movie, which I hadn't seen for a long time. It's actually been really hard to get a hold of. The Abyss. Do you remember?
That's John Carpenter. You showed me that.
I probably did show you that because it was
I'm pretty sure you showed me that.
One of my favorite movies in my childhood.
I can't believe that's hard to get a hold of.
John Carpenter. Who's John? I thought it might have been James Cameron, but maybe
James Cameron. Sorry, what John Carpenter? James Cameron. Yeah, I think so. I'm terrible with the names today. I'm horrible. I apologize.
Yeah, it is a James Cameron. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's like one of his earlier movies.
Yeah.
But I just watched it over the last couple of nights, and it's USOs. It's and they actually refer to them in the movie as NTIs, non-terrestrial intelligence. But just the whole way that they're portrayed in the movie and the way they look and they act, it's just, it's almost like maybe this was one of these scenarios where someone went to James Cameron and said, you know, if you're going to make a movie about underwater aliens, there's a lot of truth to that here, and this is how I would do it. But I would highly recommend checking that out. Old movie, I think from 1989.
Well, it's like Chris Carter and the X-Files, right? You know the rumors behind that. It's like, Chris Carter had the inside track. It's like Spielberg with Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Many people have made the comparisons. Like you look at Spielberg's aliens in that movie, and you look at the mummies that are still going around now. By the way, shout out to the mummies still going around. They're very similar.
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah.
did he have this insider knowledge? Like Chris Carter, the X-Files guy, like James Cameron, like Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So these ideas that Hollywood and the media over the years have, developed these movies and TV shows to sort of seed humanity with the ideas of what this is all like. You know, it's all sort of science fiction, fantasy, but really it's also quite real.
It's a easing into the subject.
So
it's not quite as much of a shock when they actually do reveal it.
So maybe the more that sort of comes out, and the closer we get to a higher level of disclosure, it does look more and more like that's pretty much what has happened. Hollywood has helped put these ideas into our minds so that it's easier to digest.
And I would think it almost would have started with maybe it didn't start. Maybe it started much before that. But I don't know. Almost a prime example is War of the Worlds when it came on the radio. People lost their shit. You know, that probably set the disclosure movement back 20 or 30 years. Because if I was the CIA operative wanting to find out how the public would react and did that and heard the reaction, it'd be like, oh, they're not ready. So, yeah, that's another little interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, I don't know if I have any more to go on tonight, Lem. Do you?
No. I really just I have been talking to Corey about this throughout the week, but I just finally started the Joe Rogan Diana Pasulka interview. I'm probably about half an hour into it, but we'll get through that because I do want to talk a bit about Diana Pasulka because she's also had another great interview with Jesse Michaels from American Alchemist, is that his channel? And that was great. So I'm kind of looking forward to finishing this one. They're talking about Jimi Hendrix at the moment where I'm up to. So it's pretty great. I love Jimmy. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next week once I've got my head a bit more around it. But Diana's also got a new book out and she's doing the rounds at the moment. So she's kind of, you'll see her a bit around. So maybe we'll talk about that next podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk some Diana Pasulka next episode.
Yeah, cool. Oh, actually, I did forget one thing, and I just quickly want to mention it. I just found out in the last couple of days that John Podesta is going to be back in the White House. Now, apparently he's taking over from, can't remember the name of the guy. He ran for president once, John Kerry. Yeah. Is taking over for him for the liaison or consultant for climate change. But there is the rumor that he is in the Biden administration to tackle the upcoming UAP questions that are going to be happening in this election cycle. I mean, that's purely speculative, hugely speculative. But if anyone's been following this for any amount of time, John Podesta has definitely been on the right side of wanting to get disclosure out. I don't know everything else about, because he's got some interesting other things going on as well in the conspiracy world, you might say. But that's a little bit of news that I thought was interesting. So maybe they are preparing something for it to be more of a significant election issue. Who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe they're building some sort of defense comeback against catastrophic disclosure as well.
Possibly, yeah. I know Podesta is a pretty shrewd operator, so it's a wait and see on that one. Cool.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, look, we'll end it here. Thanks, Lem.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Do the like and subscribe YouTube thing. But yes, we'll try not miss another week, and we'll be back in about a fortnight, I dare say. And I will try and get my episode done, but I'm not promising anything.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah, like and subscribe, people. Leave comments. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, we'll catch you
We'll see you soon.
again at a later date. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.